Last Train to Christmas is an odd little film. It was released via Sky Cinema on December 18, 2021 with very little fanfare. It received a minimal marketing push and I stumbled across it completely by accident. It stars Michael Sheen, Staged, Good Omens, and Cary Elwes, Men in Tights, Stranger Things, as the Towers brothers. Michael Sheen is Tony Towers. When we first meet him he is the owner of a very popular nightclub in Nottingham. This is the 1980s and his hair is suitably styled. He is in the company of his girlfriend and they are on the train to Nottingham. They're expecting Tony's brother Roger. Sheen is hamming it up big time. Tony Towers is very much a larger-than-life character and he decides to go to the buffet car in search of, but when he moves into the next carriage he is transported from 1985 to 1995. Yes, this film is in fact a time travel story, in the vein of something like Christmas Carol before it. Tony is able to visit the future and sees that if he chooses to open more nightclubs he will go bankrupt. So, he returns to his original carriage, 1985, and vows not to open 6 nightclubs, just 1. Then he goes back to 1995 and sees that he is successful now. Only there are other problems. This forces Tony to travel backwards in the train. We learn more about the relationship Tony has with Roger, how their lives are intertwined, and Tony starts to influence the past. It seems that on the same day at rather specific intervals of his life Tony made the same journey and now he is able to traverse his life by moving up and down the train. Tony changes the past, firstly for the worse. He encourages his brother's interests in music, which eventually lead to him becoming an alcoholic and not a particularly nice person. The film starts to derail about here. You see, the story becomes about Roger and not Tony. It's about Tony trying to fix Roger. But in actual fact if Tony had just left the timeline alone maybe things would have been fine. He figures out that Roger is actually his cousin. This means nothing. It doesn't really change the narrative, it just exaggerates the anger between them. So Tony tries to go back even further. He jumps off the train in the hope that it will cause Roger's mother to understand how special her child is and hopefully keep him. As Tony passes through the train we see that he has had many relationships with many women. The film attempts to make us believe that Tony is a wonderful guy just doing his best, never in the wrong, and that nothing is his fault. But given the evidence he is a complete asshole. He is disrespectful, lazy and annoying, and it is his self-centered meddling that causes his brother to spiral out of control. The film sets up Tony as our main character and then slowly transforms into a film about his brother. There doesn't seem to be any point to the film. Tony learns very little. Roger doesn't seem to learn anything at all as he doesn't know what's going on and nothing really happens. In concept the film is a great idea. Mixing the Polar Express with Christmas Carol is fun and a fresh take on the general concepts. But there are too many time periods and it gets really confusing. If perhaps we had stuck to 3 then maybe it would have been easier to understand. Sheen and Elwes are incredible. Their performances are varied and are probably the highlight. Visually the sets capture the time period really well and the prosthetics are all excellent. The way that the aspect ratio and style changes to reflect the period is also to be commended, but in the end the film crumbles under its own weight. As it is, I wouldn't recommend you watch the film.